All right. Hey, everybody. We are back live. Welcome back to the Roofr Masterclass. I am your host, Pete, with my co-host, Nick. And we have a guest appearance there by Kitty, knocking some stuff over. But also welcome Mac. Behind the cat, there is Mac joining us once again. Mac's a veteran here of our webinars. So welcome back, Mackensey.
Thank you. It feels good to not host. I just get to sit back and you guys have to do the hard work.
All on me and Pete, I see.
Yeah. So welcome everybody. Excited for this one. Wrapping up here 2025. And, I think everybody's in that get through the end of the year mode here. So we thought only fitting to wrap up everything that we've done this year here at Roofr, and kind of review with you guys all the great things that have come out and maybe take a sneak peek at what we got going for 2026.
Some housekeeping. You can email us anytime to ask us any questions. Nick at Roofr, Pete at Roofr. Two of the easiest emails out there. As always, these are recorded. They're put on our Roofr YouTube, but also at roofr.com/masterclass. We have our 2026 kickoff masterclass on January 6th. Pete and I will be doing it live from the floor at RoofCon, so super pumped up for that. If you haven't got your tickets yet for OKC, it will be great. Also, we have our latest Roofr Report episode with our Roofer of the Month, Matt Smith, and it's great. Guy's really, really sharp, so highly recommend that. But we'll dive into everything, Pete, on today's agenda.
Yeah, so everybody say, what's up, Mac? So get that out of the way. And if you guys don't know Mac, I'll give her a second here to introduce herself in case you haven't been on any of the prior webinars that she's been on. So Mac, go ahead and introduce yourself really quick.
Yes, as you can tell, my name is Mac. It's actually Mackensey, my God-given name. I work in product marketing at Roofr, and I have the privilege of working really closely with the customers and the product team. So my main objective at Roofr is to listen to everything our customers have to say about what's important to them and why, and help our product team sort of bring those features to life. So I work really, really closely with the product. You'll know that my favorite thing to talk about is efficiency. Really excited to sort of recap the past year because Roofr looks a lot different than it did at this time last year.
And the cat agrees.
Yeah, she's actually psychotic.
Yeah, we appreciate her feedback on our last year of work. But yeah, we're going to take a quick look back here at 2025 and kind of run through some of the big features that we've added. The goal for us in 2025 was to bolster the product, to get to feature parity with some of the other CRMs, and to get you guys a product that was not only usable, but efficient and did a really good job of solving your problems and being a full-blown CRM for you guys and more. And so we'll kind of run through those products and then we'll take a look at 2026, right, Nick?
Yeah, super pumped up for that. There's a lot of cool things coming up. We just came off our company retreat talking about some of the plans that we have for 2026. No shocker to you guys. It's from a lot of your suggestions. So excited to talk about what we'll be building up there. And then obviously put any questions in the chat like we mentioned before. We'll jump on those at the end. So looking back at 2025, Pete and Mac, take it away.
So looking back at 2025, this slide feels comical to me because the amount of work and the amount of updates and things that were released being congested into just one single slide is pretty crazy. But what's really cool when I look at this slide and on this list is there's a lot of features here that are massive features. And not only have we released versions of them, we've continued to iterate on them. And on top of everything that we've released on this list, we've also done all of the work to connect these features into the Roofr platform. And one of the things that we sort of consistently hear is our users come in and they say, oh, I didn't know you had that. And that's kind of like the benefit of Roofr is that we are constantly building new features and we're releasing them as fast as we can so you can get your hands on the value as fast as you can. And then we're continuing to update them. So it's really important that when you have the extra time, you're going through and you're just exploring Roofr and seeing what's possible because it might change week to week from what was there last week. But I'm going to go through some of the big main features. Honestly, if you've been on the master classes, you've heard these tons of times. So I'm going to rip through them. And then Nick's actually just going to do the fun part and he's going to go through the platform. Supplier integrations, absolutely massive. We worked through 3 different supplier integrations this year. We've now connected with ABC Supply, QXO, and SRS. And This is super important because this is a missing piece for saving time on proposals. We know that when you're going from the measurement to the proposal, that's super quick in Roofr, but then there's that little bit of the breakdown between turning those measurements into actual material orders. And so what these supplier integrations do is it makes sure that when you're out in the field and you're creating a proposal instantly, not only is the proposal being created, but all of the pricing and the materials are right. And so now you're not only saving time on the actual like creation of a material order, you're saving so much mental bandwidth on checking to make sure it's right, having to go back into your catalogs in Roofr and make sure that like all of the SKUs are correct, all of that. And you can really trust your work. So that's important if you're running everything yourself, or commonly if you have a sales team and you want to make sure that you're able to trust that their work is being done fast, but it's also being done right. Because those small discrepancies can really add up to costing your margins. So supplier integrations has been a massive new release for us. One of the cool things about these integrations is that we've just released another update. And now, once you have sent off your order and it's been received by your rep, whichever supplier, and they fulfill the order, we're now working on getting those updates back into Roofr. So ABC just launched. So now once it's been shipped, you'll get that notification directly back in Roofr. So we're continuing to bring more and more efficiency back into working out of the Roofr platform. And then as we go, I think over the next couple of months, that will roll out to QXO and SRS as well. So no matter what supplier you're using, you can actually get those updates directly in Roofr, so you're not bouncing around to different logins.
That's super exciting. I remember when I was working with my dad all the time, he had like 3 or 4 price increases per year, but it's not just like everything at once. It's usually like just metal, just accessories, just shingles and all that stuff. And having to go in at that time, pre-Roofr, go into like our quoting software and change up all the pricing and figure out like, is this a big enough difference that we're going to call back those quotes and stuff like this. It's super clean, super easy to do when it's automated for you. But the one thing I really like is that when you're sending out the quote, and if the pricing changed in the time that you have done it, the system at Roofr will actually alert you, being like, hey, are you sure you want to send out at this price, or do you want to send out the new updated price? All you have to do is click on update, whole system updates, and you're ready to rock and roll. So super powerful for everybody else using it.
The other huge time savings that these supplier integrations give is the actual creation of the material orders. So everything is like templated. Once you get that proposal and it's signed and it's won, you can convert all of those items into a material order directly. Everything's already pre-populated for you based on the job. So now all you have to do is look through and see that those connected materials, you just have to confirm them. You have to pick your color, make sure that they're in stock, etc. It's saving a ton of time. So instead of actually going in and like copy and pasting or like putting in the job address, the contact, you're literally just going in and you're just saying, check, you're checking the boxes and then you're clicking send. And again, that saves a lot of time, but it also saves a lot of time on the back and forth. So like nothing gets missed. You send something, you miss it, they get the email, you're busy, it's been a couple of hours, and then all of a sudden your order is 2 days late because of just like simple back and forth. So that's been one of the most helpful things that we've seen from the supplier integrations.
100%.
Yeah. Over time here, all 3 of the suppliers have built incredible systems on the back end. And now we have the ability to connect to those, right? So now all that information that they're storing on their side and that they're making easily accessible, that they're streamlining their way of processing the order, now being directly connected to it is just making it so much quicker to be able to get the order over there with more information than ever before. You know, I remember going to visit ABC branches and seeing the way some of these orders were placed, and it was like mind-blowing. People just texting addresses and stuff like that. And so it's really cleaned up the order process as a whole across all 3 suppliers, and now being connected to it, we're able to feed really good quality information back and forth between the 2 platforms, which just is making the whole process, like Mackensey said, just so much more efficient and allowing the orders to be more accurate, more on time. We're getting information back as a contractor, we're getting information back from the supplier in real time, quicker. So, just better all the way around.
And visibility. The time saved of just being able to go in and see the status of the orders is also massive. Like being able to say, oh, I wonder where so-and-so, if you have so many reps, not having to actually reach out and get the status update from each one of them. Again, you literally just go in, you log in, you can see everybody's orders, you can filter, you can sort, you can see all of the statuses directly in Roofr. So you don't have to spend all this time asking people for updates. It's right there. And then you can see when things are stuck as well. Like, why has this been in this stage for however many days? So that, if you can believe it, that was in January, February of last year. Feels like a lifetime ago. But what else was released in January of last year was the calendar. So this is, again, one of those really big main features that continues to be improved upon. And that's where a lot of our quality of life efforts are going to. But moving the calendar into Roofr was massive because all of a sudden you're not looking at the whiteboard anymore. You're seeing these items in real time, like when the job card and your job progress is connected to a timeline in your calendar. And so that connection meant that you can move so much of your work out that was being done outside of Roofr into Roofr. So really excited about that. And then if you've been following us in October, we actually finished the Google Calendar integration as well. So now everything is completely connected if you are using Gmail and Google. It's now not only can you get all of your events in one view, in whether it's in Roofr, you can also get them on your phone. So this has really, really helped with the sales efficiency and being able to have access to not only your schedule, but your team's schedule in the field. So now you no longer have to log into Roofr on mobile. You can just see it right there within your calendar. Some other updates that have come out throughout the year since the January release are automations as well. So you can also create time-based automation triggers from the calendar. When an event is scheduled, you can start to automate a lot of that follow-up or automate your job stages. So when an event is scheduled, you can move your job stage, or you can send a homeowner a message saying, hey, we're looking forward to this upcoming appointment. You can remind them of an upcoming appointment, send an email or text 2 days before, say, hey, don't forget, we're showing up and here's X, Y, and Z that you need to have done for the day we're there. There's a lot of work order automations that are being worked on as well for the event calendars. And then one of the main focus for 2026 will be also looking at some of the production features and some more production scheduling features. So right now, the main focus for the calendar is sales appointments and scheduling and automating that flow. And then the next focus will shift to production.
One of my favorite things is the custom event markers on there as well. Just being able to kind of customize, because like we had really good kind of standard ones, but everybody has a different flow, right? So making that available and tying those directly to automation, so those events can trigger automation throughout that process, was a huge lift by the team and came out, I think, in the fall this year.
Yeah. Like last month.
Yeah, very recent.
Yeah, Mackensey mentioned the Google Calendar sync. I mean, that's a absolutely huge addition to the calendar. It makes it really functional, really flexible from your phone. You can use it, especially if you're a sales guy on the field. Now you've got the visibility. If I am scheduling back in the office, I can see my sales guys' appointments. If they have stuff that's outside of work, other appointments, we're not overlapping and stuff like that because we have that sync. We can see those calendar events and just makes it really seamless. So, the calendar has come a long way in a very short amount of time and has some more improvements on the horizon. So yeah, really excited about that one.
I'm pumped for what's coming too. So I won't spoil the next slide.
The one thing that I do want to call out about the Google Calendar is the visibility settings. So right now, everybody who's on the manager profile, you can see the events in each other's calendars. So that isn't the same between a member and a manager. You can't see the events within a calendar, but we are working on updating those visibility settings and just making sure that there's some more privacy settings within the calendar. Job costing. Job costing is, again, one of those really big, meaty ones that we wanted to get out the door so that we have some insights. So now you can start looking at your actual profitability and the costs of your job within Roofr. thing about Roofr is the more you put into it, the better the insights you're going to get out of it. If you're managing all of your work within Roofr, if you're using the job board and you're tracking your invoicing, your payments, you've got good data hygiene within Roofr, you're going to get really powerful insights. And so job costing is one of those things where it's pulling automatically from this work that you're already doing. So the one proposals, your invoices, you're not duplicating that work. It's just taking all of that information, but it's just spitting out insights. And so now you're able to go and you're able to take a look at that job and say, what did I actually make? You're able to make real-time decisions. That's where you're able to see like the biggest impact, where you're in the job board and you can click on that and you can say, okay, this is where the discrepancy was. And you click into the next job and you won't make that mistake again. Instead of having to go to a spreadsheet, analyze this big data set, and maybe come up with an insight, you don't do anything with that. You're getting these real-time insights that you could just apply to your workflow right away. So the job costing feature is super, super powerful. There's tons of updates coming to it. You'll be able to compare job over job. You're able to look back at that more historical data and see how your company's been performing over a quarter, over a season, et cetera, and get those historical insights. But right now, you can make those in the moment decisions about improving your margins.
Yeah, I always like job costing too, for the fact that it allows us to track any kind of supplemental charges, things that come up on the job, like, hey, my guys really like to go to Home Depot every time and pick up some stuff, right? And maybe we're not realizing that we've got some of that stuff going on. It's not really being tracked. This is a great way to say like, hey, this job costs us X. We've also got all these other charges. Why are they showing up on all of our jobs? And you can really kind of hone the whole process in, and really dial it down to where what you're quoting up front, your projected, and your actuals at the end are getting closer and closer together. There's always going to be some unforeseen things, but this way you can track it. So job costing is a huge asset. It was a big ask and it's been a great add, and it just will continue to get better too. But yeah, that's a great feature, I think. And it's a very underused feature. I think it can really do a lot, not only from a tracking standpoint, but also from an educational standpoint. I used to have a lot of guys that used it and said like, hey, I track it just to better educate my salespeople on how they're quoting. If we're missing stuff or we're ending up having to add stuff later on, a lot of change orders, let's say, we can see all that kind of stuff and see how that's playing out. And if there's a pattern to it, are we potentially missing something when we're quoting? Job costing will shed some light on all that stuff. If you guys aren't leveraging it, I suggest that you do. It'll just continue to get better along the way.
Yeah, I find job costing is so important. The closing rate of a company as you're kind of growing, right? It's like 85% after 2 years, 90% roughly after 5 is that most of these companies are closing down. And one of the big things we always talk about, consolidation and keeping your overhead down and all that stuff, is a big part of how to be successful. But a big part is knowing your numbers. And nothing's more important than from a job on job basis to understand how profitable are you, what was your projection, where were you off, what are your actuals, and knowing that so you can make those adjustments.
Just going to jump into the chat quickly.
Yeah.
There's just a ton of questions. The other really great thing about the Gmail integration is there's like job specific inboxes. So if you actually look at the job card, it's going to tie all of that customer communication to that job card. So it's like you have this dedicated inbox directly on that job record. So not only will it only show the comms between you and that customer, it will only show between you and that customer. That's a great way to sort of filter out all of the noise. Hopefully that answers your question.
The other one that was coming up a lot in there is timeline on a mobile app. Pete and I were playing around with our PWA, Progressive Web App, that we are working on right now. Most people know apps from an iPhone or Android that's in Google Play or iOS. We decided not to add that in because it's restrictive. There's multiple things you have to update, and we're building out a PWA app that is super functional, super clean, super mobile optimized. Pete and I were playing around with it today. It is unreal. That will be coming out in the first half of the next year, so 2026. Alrighty.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. Work orders.
Yeah, I think so. We can dive into that here. So work orders are super clean, super easy, and super important. Obviously, you're going to need that in for your day to make sure that everything's set up. So if you have a job that has a proposal slot in there, what you're able to do is just go into the work order section, just click on work order. what's super nice is that you can create it from a proposal or a material order, or create it from scratch if you want. But if you create it from that, everything that was selected by that customer is going to go automatically in here. Now I can go in and select that crew. So I'm going to click on Jim's crew. I can have all my different sub crews or in-house crews built into here. Select the install date. So let's just say it's the 24th, and I can even create an event when it's sent. So this will also trigger some automations in the back end. We can put anything else in here, like be careful of the rose bushes. Add in any customization on colors or anything that you need. And one of my favorite features too is we could either add in photos from the job card or take stuff from the job card or company cam to make sure that they know what's going on, what needs to be done. And we can send that off directly to the crew. They're not going to have access to your CRM, but they're going to get it just like the customer's getting a proposal, something that's viewable, something that's printable, and all that stuff there. And as you can see, this triggers it all the way over to production, sends out the info to that team, your sub crew, and also sends a customer information on that install date, all from one shot there, allowing you to keep up with everything and keep everything on track. You can even set up little in progress or incompleted badges here to kind of see what's going on and track that from beginning to end, which is super nice to have, and just kind of opening up everything else. And what's nice about this too, if I go into the calendar, there's the 24th, there's that job that we just had, and I could open up that job directly here as well, or go into maps, directions, or anything else. So big fan of how clean our work orders are getting. 2026 is a big year for this too. There'll be some really awesome additions into this to really break out this into a really fully powerful feature, tying it together with crew sign-offs, pricing, etc.
Yeah, I love the way work orders has minimized the manual entry piece too.
Oh, yeah.
I was speaking at ARCAD. A guy actually stood up and said it has solved a huge problem for him where they, in the past, have actually roofed the wrong house because of manual entry problems. Now, using work orders, they don't have to stress whether things were entered incorrectly because it's bringing all that information over from the proposal. It's allowing them to minimize the amount of entries and make sure that the information is accurate across the board. And so has really helped to streamline their process. Specifically, he was nice enough to stand up and tell everybody in the audience about it. So that was kind of cool, and tell us about some mistakes that they had made in the past. It obviously massively reduces the amount of human error that could potentially happen in creating these documents and sending them out to whether that be internal crews or subcontractors.
Which is also the perfect segue to crew contacts and some of the contact management that's actually come out as well. There's been a couple of updates already in the way that you can manage your contacts. You can add more than one customer to the job now, and then you can also manage your crew contacts. Yeah.
I always wonder when I create these emails, these fake emails, if they're actually real emails. And these
Just
people
a random person somewhere
Just
getting blasted with work orders and material
blown up with test proposals.
As you can see, when I created Mac as a crew there as well, everything kind of goes into that job contacts thing. So as Mac was saying, we have different customer responsibilities and types here, and you can see everyone that's kind of connected to it. So as we're adding in the crew, it's from the work order, it's automatically adding into that job. So at one spot, I'm able to see everything that's going on, from crew to customer to supplier to co-signers to financiers, everything else that's built in there, and allows you to really see a lot of really cool stuff. Our CEO is huddling me, which is always funny because we're on a masterclass. Shout out Richie. But when you got everything built into this, it makes it really easy. And there's been a huge update to the contacts page. If you haven't been there in a while, this is a really cool thing too. One of the unique parts about what we can do with Roofr is a lot of other tools, CRMs, platforms, and stuff like that are going to make you create a new customer for every new job, not being able to batch it up. But as we're roofers, we know that there's a lot of people that have multiple houses, sub crews that we're working for, or GCs, or whatever the case is. So you can see right on the side how many jobs that one person has. If I enter that, it's going to show them the lifetime value, all the information, all the active jobs, all the lost jobs, all the completed jobs, all in the right-hand margin here. You can even create a new job from here. You can have internal contact notes as well with replies, edits, and all that stuff in there to really kind of keep track of your customers as a whole. You could always edit it, add little tags, change the type, all that stuff there, and really allow yourself to really be organized in your CRM and be able to have everything in one spot.
And the visibility, again, just making sure that you're never chasing people down for updates or even having to remember yourself, like, did I reach out to this person? Everything that's being done in Roofr is being tracked right on that job card in that activity log on the side. So you can go in and you can get a really quick view. You can see when things have been sent, when things have been updated, when somebody's been contacted. I mean, spoiler alert, 'cause we're going to do homeowner comms. You can have all of the two-way comms on the job activity as well. So you're able to see that, yeah, the crew's been contacted, the work order's been sent, soon the change order will be sent, etc.
All that stuff is going to give you the ability to always follow up on that and that visibility that Mac's talking about as well.
Which is perfect segue into probably my favorite feature. And because I think it's a sneaky value add, the comms. The amount of automation and setup that you can do with homeowner comms is unreal.
Mhm.
You can send really personalized messages to any customer automatically. So we have our comms hub, and up at the top there's the templates. And the templates are just like the most powerful part of this, because you can create super custom, super targeted, super personalized emails and texts to your customers. And you can also categorize them. So one of the things that I think people often overlook is up at the top there's the categories for the templates. And what those categories do is it actually ties a function to your automation. So there's proposals, there's invoices, there's events, PDF signer. And when you use these categories with your communications templates, it pulls those items into those comms automatically. It's like your proposal. If it's categorized as a proposal, text, email, whatever, you could say, hey, sending this proposal for review, and it will automatically pull that proposal in. So there'll be a button in your email or a link in your text, and that person can just access that proposal right then and there. So the categories are really important. You can create really robust sales processes, follow-up, outreach. So if a new lead comes in, you can make sure that you have, I think it takes like 7 touch points with a customer before they actually convert. So, like they come in, you call them right away, you send them a text, you send them an email, they're going to need another follow-up. You have these like 7 different types of touch points, and nobody just wants to receive 7 emails back to back. You really need to flush out that process, and you can automate so much of it, because if you do 2 of the touch points and then you get busy and you drop off, you're really reducing your chances of just closing that. If you spend a little bit of time creating these like workflows using these templates, you can automate your entire process. You can automate the job stages, and once the job moves to a specific type of stage, you can send an email there. So if a new lead comes in and you booked the appointment, you can create a comms template that says like, thanks for booking your appointment. Here's what to expect. That's where we have that checklist. So we're saying, I'm coming at X, Y, and Z. Make sure you have X, Y, and Z. There's obviously emails and texts that you can do. So we know that the most success you'll find is like a combination between the two. Homeowners want that quick text because they always have their phones in their hands, and so they want the reminders, but they want to be able to look back at the more detailed emails. So you can really create this like very efficient outreach system with the comms. Of course, you also get the visibility. That's my word of the day, visibility, not efficiency this time. But you're able to actually go in and make sure that your teams, and whether it's a super small team or a larger team, you can make sure that all of those touch points are being hit. One of the things, I get a lot of emails back from roofing contractors who are super busy and they're in the field and they're responding to an email. And it takes me a really long time to read them because there's no punctuation, there's spelling errors, there's, autocorrect, there's different words in there, and it doesn't make a lot of sense. And that can be really, it can hurt your brand. And, you spend all this time and effort to get the polos, get the wrap on your truck, and it can all be undone by spelling errors in a text message. So what the comms automations and these templates does is it allows you to make sure that everybody across your organization is following up in the same way professionally, same touch points. They're following the process like to a T. It's so insanely powerful. And it's really often overlooked because it's like, oh, I've got a phone. It's not so hard to text. It's not so hard to send an email. We're using that anyways. But when you're pulling it into Roofr, you're getting all of those extra benefits because you're making it a part of this whole other ecosystem where you're able to move the job stage or trigger a message from a moved job stage. You're able to tag anybody else on your team in on the comms. Instead of relying on your own inbox, everybody has this shared inbox. There's the shared visibility. There's the shared responsibility, easy handoff. It's one of the most underrated things, I think, in Roofr.
Yeah, there's so much powerful stuff in here. Pete and I talk about this feature a lot. Just when you're in a message in your kind of global inbox here and go through a message and stuff, but the being able to quickly be like, oh crap, who's Nick again? Oh, let's hit the job info. Oh, that's his job. That's what we sold for. That's the stage that it's in. Here's any of the job details and the report. Then we can send out either something here like, cool, man, thanks. Or if you really want, you can send out one of the templates. If you kind of have that all built in, you want your team to use that stuff, not a problem. You can just be like, yeah, the material order is coming in and it's going to personalize everything right off the bat. That works for emails and texts. If something's not linked in here, like this one, you can quickly link it to a job as you saw me doing. It just makes your life so much easy and everything's in one spot with Gmail, Gcal, and Roofr now.
Yeah, I think one of my favorite parts of this too is the delay functionality, the ability to add that campaign feel to your emails where you can, schedule emails out to trigger off of an event, but also be delayed up for a certain time. Sending someone a roof birthday email or text saying like, hey, your roof's a year old, and just to remind them that you were their roofer. Potentially you can run some type of promotion to them or whatever you want to do. That's great if you do maintenance packages as well. Remind folks about maintenance coming up, things like that. So it just adds a ton of flexibility to how these emails are triggered, when they actually send, all this stuff. You can recreate pretty much any kind of mail campaigns that you would like to run with the automation. Pretty incredible, powerful tool. And like Mackensey said, now you've got the email and the text built in, so you can have both running simultaneously.
Yeah, there's if you can see here, a little spoiler for some of the new features that just got released, but we can now set delays and times on minutes, hours, days, weeks, months, and years. Before it was just hours and days. So now you have that all set up. So you can be really granular or really kind of broad with that, allowing you to set follow-ups every 1 year, every 5 years, whatever the case is. So you can create that recurring feature throughout that process as well.
There is a difference between marketing campaigns and marketing automations. And so because somebody is already in your pipeline, they've already have opted in, they're a customer of yours, you can send them birthday emails, you can send them reminders of like, oh, hey, Christmas lights are coming out, et cetera, et cetera. But what you can't do is create email lists and create marketing drip campaigns in that sense, just because it's a different set of compliance regulations. The regulations in the US and Europe are very, very strict. So right now it's only transactional emails.
Next up, we have ESX files and insurance fields. So you all have been asking for it. And we do now have ESX. It was actually one of our biggest things that have been requested since the beginning. Ever since we came up with measurements, are like, okay, when's ESX? When's ESX? So now you can do that. Super easy when you're ordering a report.
Huge ESX fan, obviously.
Ordering in up here, and you're going through the order flow. I just picked a random address here. But when you're going through the random flow, you pick the house. You can pick all, some or none, like the normal. But during the checkout here, we can add the ESX report file. You'll have that and be able to send this directly, take that file and import it directly to Xactimate, so you can do everything that you need to do on the insurance side. Nice and easy, super clean, and super valuable. We're mentioning the insurance fields in any of your job cards now. If you are going into them, when you have if you have an insurance job and it's not a retail job, obviously we could have multiple pipelines and all that stuff, but you do have the ability to toggle on and off the insurance aspect here. Add in stuff like State Farm, the claim number, the policy number, the date of loss, all that stuff. And what's really cool is this all actually transfers over to your dynamic fields. So if you are using the PDF signer, if you're using proposals, all that stuff, these dynamic fields will be able to pull directly over and auto-populate into everything. So if I'm going into, by the way, PDF signer, I'm going to create a document from here. Use my certificate of completion here. Add this in. You can see my dynamic fields have already been added in for a lot of this stuff. But say hypothetically, I needed to add in the insurance company here. There you go. It's added in. I need to add in the policy account number. Boom, it's added in, so on and so forth. So super powerful ability to do all this stuff now and clean everything up.
Yeah, the PDF signer just adds so much flexibility. PDF signer has been a huge asset for folks to be able to create some pretty unique documents. This is one of my favorites, I think, that we have in there.
Yeah.
Just really cool to be able to add some of this stuff, either in addition to supplement your proposal or potentially after the fact, warranty information, contingency agreements, if you're on the front end of that with insurance, certificates of completion. There's just all kinds of use cases where this was popping up, and this tool has really been super valuable for anyone to be able to just kind of build out any document that they currently use in their process. The team did a great job with this, and just a ton of functionality and lots of dynamic fields in there that you're able to use.
We see that on average, people are sending like 7 documents a job. It's one of those things where it's like really set and forget it. You can have 15 templates and you can send everything you need. I was just going to answer Cameron's question, actually. He said if you altered the PDF signer so that it didn't require a customer signature or input, you would have an incredibly powerful internal checklist tool. You actually can create that for internal use. You would still need to have a form of signature, but it would be an internal signature. So you could have your team be the one to sign it as opposed to a customer. So that's actually already live.
So think internal checklist, think DocuSign type thing. If you're paying for a subscription like that, we have the dynamic fields, we have everything built into it, and it's included in your subscription. And there's a lot of updates coming for this next year as well. More dynamic fields and more capabilities, more adding some photos, maybe. A lot of cool things built in now. So, Lane, you heard me. I said it. But why don't we touch on some of the stuff that is coming up next year, Mac?
Yeah. So as you guys know, there's always a big roadmap. Our main objectives of 2025 was feature parity. We announced the CRM. We sort of released this 2 years ago now. And over those past 2 years, we've been really focused on building a lot of this. I'm just trying to do my job, Luna. We've focused on a lot of the core CRM features, a lot of the work orders, these things that we know that we needed. We've also focused on building a lot of those other features that other CRMs don't have. So things like the PDF signer, having that natively built in there, it's included in your platform, things like that. We've got the instant estimator, these types of things that really set Roofr apart as a true single platform, as opposed to that sort of integrated all-in-one platform where, yes, you can pull everything into one platform, but you need additional subscriptions. So that has been obviously our continued focus over 2025. But the last sort of portion of the year, we've also been really focusing on platform depth. And that's going to be a huge focus for us in 2026 as well. So making sure that we're continuing to make those small quality of life improvements. You can see them a lot in the chat, like little things like crew contacts, custom event tags, all of these little things that really make a lot of difference in the efficiency of the platform, as well as still like a lot of big new features coming out. Probably the most notable is AI. AI is everywhere. It's a really big buzzword. We've been really intentional about hearing what our customers need out of AI, what they're using it for, where it's saving them time, what's sort of like, I don't know if you've heard of the term AI slop. There's a lot of AI slop out there. So we've been really intentional about where we are going to build into AI. So we do have 3 or 4 features coming out on the roadmap. I don't know if I should go into it, but I'll start with one. We're currently in a pilot for AI built websites. One of the things we hear all the time is how much time and energy and effort goes into like building and maintaining a website. 56% of homeowners say that they find a roofer through a search engine. The quality of your website is just so much more than whether or not you have a website. There's all these things that go into it. And as we know, everybody is already super, super busy. How are you expected to manage and be an expert in marketing on top of that? So this AI feature will actually help you build a website without a developer. So it's through the conversational AI. He'll ask you questions about your priorities, et cetera. And you'll be able to actually create a branded website in days as opposed to going through a developer. It'll be a fraction of the cost. And it'll also take care of that continuous updating that needs to happen through the web developer. So often what we see is somebody pays $1,000 for a website, and then that's it. And then they're sort of left to their own devices. And so Roofr sites will also use AI to help continually make those updates. So your website is staying up to date, it's staying relevant, it's helping improve your SEO a little bit, some of that findability. It is really just a tool for you to capture interest and capture leads. So when you pair it with the instant estimator, you're creating this like flywheel again, where you're just pulling those leads into Roofr and you're able to automate all of that follow-up. So now with this offering, you're really going to be able to start that automated workflow and get to that speed to lead from the time somebody searches on Google. We have some other AI features coming out. There's going to be some AI data reporting. There's going to be, I'm not even going to tell you about this one. Should I? We're looking at some AI agents to help capture some of your lead details and be able to take some of the voice answering off of your plate. We're also working on a lot more of the in-field experience. Probably the number one thing, maybe tied with QuickBooks, that we hear is the mobile app. And so we have a new and improved mobile experience coming out in January. And what it is it's an app-like experience. It's not a downloadable app that you would go to the Apple store and download, but it's completely mobile optimized. So it's been completely rebuilt and it works basically like an app. But the reason that we went this route as opposed to going down the app store route is it's really expensive to build and maintain an app on different app stores. So not only Apple, but also Android. Those costs, like we have to pass those costs along, and we chose not to do that. So now everything that you get in Roofr is mobile optimized. So you can still add it to your phone and have a shortcut that'll look and feel like an app. It's completely optimized. So the screen sizes, all of the quick actions, all of that. There's push notifications, but everything that's being updated in your Roofr desktop is also being updated on the app. So there's also no delay in, having to push updates through those app stores. It's way less expensive. So it's good for us. It's good for you. And it's going to just make field work a lot faster and a lot easier. So we're super excited about that. Cool. The other really, really exciting thing is user permissions. One of those things that we hear all the time. Tons of work being done on user permissions. Pretty self-explanatory. Not going to get into it. User permissions. And then change orders they covered. And then those quality of life updates. We have an entire squad of product developers who are dedicated to the job cards and that day-to-day experience and making sure that all the little things are being ironed out. Just expect continual quality of life improvements.
It's going to be an exciting year. So please stay tuned to check it out. Thanks, Mac, for joining.
Thank you, Mac. And thank you, everybody, for jumping on. Appreciate everybody. Look forward to a great 2026. And hopefully you guys can continue to jump in the chat and do what you guys did today. We're going to take a lot of it back to the team and, we capture all that stuff. So we really appreciate everybody being so active in the chat with all the great questions and feedback. All right.
Looking forward to seeing you all at RoofCon and IRV and stuff, and have a great holidays, everyone.
Happy holidays to everybody. Thank you guys. And we will see you next time on the Roofr Masterclass. Thanks again.
Bye.